If God created Satan in a state of perfection, where did his evil originate? If God is perfect, how did evil find its way into the world? What was the source of Satan's initial malevolent desires? Like all celestial beings, God originally brought Satan into existence through the agency of his Son, Jesus Christ, as affirmed in John 1, verses 1-3. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him, all things were created. Without him, nothing was created that exists. Each and every entity owes its existence to God, and nothing came into being without his creative hand. Crucially, all of God's creations were flawless, including Lucifer, who later became Satan. So, if this is the case, how did imperfection and malevolence infiltrate the world? How did humanity, and even certain celestial beings, succumb to corruption? What precipitated Satan's descent into wickedness? In this discussion, we will delve into these inquiries. Satan's fall from grace is indeed a remarkable and pivotal event. To gain insight into this, let's turn to how the prophet Isaiah described the origin and downfall of Satan. Isaiah's words resonate. "You have fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the ground, you who debilitated the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." Yet, in reality, you will be brought down to Sheol, to the farthest depths of the abyss. Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12-15. Ezekiel presented an even more astonishing depiction of Satan's initial perfect state and his descent into the abyss. He described Satan as follows: "You were in the garden of God, adorned with every precious gem, rubies, topaz, diamonds, beryl, onyx, jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald, all expertly set in crafted mounts. These were prepared on the day you were created. You were the anointed cherub who guards and shields, and I set you on the holy mountain of God. You walked among the glistening jewels, living blamelessly from the day of your creation until unrighteousness and evil were found in you. Your extensive trade led you to be filled with lawlessness and violence. As a result, you were cast out as a profane and unholy being from the mountain of God, and I obliterated you, O guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones." Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 13-16. When Satan rebelled against God, he not only incurred God's wrath upon himself, but also persuaded a faction of the angels to join him in defying God. Some approximations suggest that around one-third of the angels followed Satan in his insurrection. At this juncture, Satan and his angels had become genuinely malevolent and antagonistic towards God, his divine design, and the human beings he had fashioned. The term perfection encapsulates Satan's exceptional personal and moral attributes at his creation. He was not only brimming with wisdom but also exuded exquisite beauty. He bore the seal of excellence, being perfect in beauty and without fault in his conduct from the day of his formation. Like every other entity created by God, Satan was immaculate from the outset. Both Isaiah and Ezekiel bear witness to his exalted status among all the created beings in the cosmos. It is also evident that he enjoyed a unique and intimate relationship with God. He dwelt on God's holy mountain, symbolizing the locus of God's visible glory. Nevertheless, while not explicitly detailing the process, the account discloses the presence of sin in this supposedly perfect angel. How did this transpire? The most significant hint can be gleaned from Ezekiel 28 verse 17, which states, "Your heart was proud and arrogant because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor." There it is. Due to Satan's prideful nature and self-obsession, his wisdom was tainted. He became infatuated with himself, dwelling on his own beauty rather than focusing on the glory of God. This is what led to his downfall. This underscores the peril of pride and self-obsession. In Luke 10 verse 18, Jesus describes witnessing Satan's fall from heaven, stating it was like lightning. To fully comprehend what Jesus meant, let's consider the context in which he made this revelation. It occurred when the 70 disciples whom Jesus had dispatched to evangelize and pave the way to Jerusalem returned. Upon their return, they were filled with joy and perhaps personal pride. They reported to Jesus, saying, "Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name." It was then that Jesus cautioned them against pride by remarking, "I watched Satan fall from heaven like a flash of lightning." Jesus' statements serve as a warning about the dangers of pride. He implies that being pleased with their authority over demons should not lead them to excessive pride. Pride is a sin that can give rise to other sins, just as excessive hubris caused Lucifer's fall from grace and his expulsion from heaven. The disciples should be careful to avoid this potential hazard. Lucifer had exalted himself due to his pride, and they should learn from his downfall and remain humble in their ministry. As a consequence of his wrongdoing and rebellion, God dethroned Satan. He was cast down from his privileged position over the mountain of God. This is how Satan came down to earth after his original sin. His punishment awaits him in the form of a lake of fire, as Christ mentioned in Matthew 25 verse 41. Satan brought evil to the world, even though he was perfect at creation. Evil originated from Satan as he developed pride and arrogance. He turned a thing of beauty and perfection into sin and imperfection. Here are some of the things that pride led Satan to contemplate and attempt. He said, "I will ascend to heaven," despite already having access to God's presence. Satan sought to reside in God's dwelling place. He clearly aspired to be recognized on an equal level with God. "I will raise my throne above the stars of God." The reference to stars symbolizes angels. Thus Satan desired to elevate his authority above that of other celestial beings. "I will sit on the Mount of Assembly." This mount is associated with God's kingdom administration and messianic rule from Jerusalem. Satan's ambition extended to ruling over all affairs. "I will make myself like the Most High." This statement represents the culmination of all his self-assertion and rebellion. It shows his audacious aspiration to be equal to God. Because of his rebellion caused by his pride and self-absorption, Satan's personality underwent a profound change from perfect to imperfect. The holiness he once derived from his Creator was lost, and corruption took its place. The exact moment of Satan's fall is not explicitly revealed in the Bible. However, we can deduce certain time limits based on biblical evidence. Sometime after the original creation of the heavens and the earth, Satan and his angels fell. It remains uncertain whether Satan fell before or after the creation of mankind. However, it is evident that his fall occurred before Genesis 3, where the temptation of Adam and Eve is recorded. Satan successfully deceived and solicited some angels to join him in his rebellion, leading to their irrevocable moral decay. After this seduction, there was no turning back for them, and they were doomed to an existence of sin and destruction. Revelation 12 verse 4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Symbolically, Revelation 12 verse 4 describes how a third of the stars of heaven, representing the angels, were swept away by the dragon, Satan, in his attempt to thwart God's plans. It is crucial to remember that the same Bible that records the inception and existence of evil also portrays God as completely righteous and perfect in all his ways. He views sin as exceedingly wicked and deserving of judgment. God does not promote or perpetuate sin, as stated in James chapter 1 verse 13. Temptation does not originate from God but arises from our own flaws. God is beyond temptation, and he does not tempt anyone. Satan's beauty became a source of pride that ultimately led to his expulsion from God's presence. His own pride and self-importance led to the corruption of his mind. He is still driven by pride, seeking to usurp what rightfully belongs to God. Understanding Satan's pride serves as a cautionary lesson for us, enabling us to avoid such pride in our own lives through the empowering presence of the Holy Spirit. The story of Lucifer reminds us that even the most celestial beings can grapple with their own humanity. Thank you for joining me on this video, and I look forward to exploring more intriguing tales with you in the future. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story in the making. Until next time, stay rooted in love, faith, and God's grace.